Now there's something called Respondus, the lockdown browser. And what that means is, here I am in a browser, and if I'm a student and I have a test that my instructor has put on there that I have to take, it's an assessment, it's timed, the instructor may have chosen to literally lock down the browser, which means the student cannot go anywhere except for that browser. They usually get a password to get into the test, and then once they're in, they can't move, they can't go to Google, they can't go to any other thing. Could they go to their cell phone if they have it somewhere, another computer if they're taking it home? Yes, that's the con part, I guess you could say. But if you're having them take it in, let's say, a computer classroom or in testing or tutoring, this could be a very handy tool. So in Blackboard 9, they've given us an option to use it, but you have to download it first. So under your, once again, at the bottom of your course management tools, which hopefully you're getting the idea of everything's in there, for instructors that is, you go down to where it says Respondus Lockdown Browser. If you install it, it'll ask you here, it's not enabled. I have my test one in there. So I can actually, right now this test that I've created, I can actually make it a lockdown browser type of test. But what you didn't see is the first time you ever choose or elect to try Respondus, in this window will actually show you if you want to download a Windows version or a Mac version. So you have to actually download the software, wait until it gives you the information, the software. I believe you have to have a username and sign in as an added level of security. And it will ask you whether or not you want to download it to a lab computer at campus or school. So if you're in a setting like this classroom, for example, and you want them to have it here, then you select that, your own computer or work computer. Now the students on the other side of things will have to also download it wherever they're taking their test remotely. But hopefully the instructor will give them instructions with a password to get into it. Some of the things it says you should know is that the instructor should provide the link to the browser download and the student guide in the Blackboard course. So when you download the software, you'll see the links to these things so that you know what to provide the student. So wherever they're going to take the test, the Respondus lockdown browser is downloaded to that computer they're working on, and then it will then control the test when they log in. It also says it's recommended that instructors provide a sample quiz to their students to help them set up and test lockdown, which I agree is a very important feature, because if they don't know how to use it when they actually are in the test, this could really thwart them in completing or even starting the test. So definitely give them a practice how to do it, maybe a simple quiz. It also says students must exit their favorite browser and log into Blackboard using the Respondus lockdown browser only. So that's included in the student instructions. And then it says when lockdown browser is engaged and is used to access a test, the student will be asked if the instructor provided a password. I highly recommend that you do provide a password. If the instructor has not provided a password, the student must click no so that the lockdown browser can automatically fill in its own password and allow the student to access the test. The idea is once the test is completed, that is done and goes away. Because you wouldn't obviously want to lock down their browser forever. Maybe you would, I don't know. So that's lockdown browser. And here, in my example of test 1, it's not enabled for lockdown, but I can modify settings here, and I can say, you know what, I'm going to require a lockdown browser for this test. And as you can see down here, that's where I can put in the optional password. It's always better to have multiple layers to protect against cheating and plagiarism. So again, it reminds the instructor that if the test password is entered, it won't show up until you come back to this page. I didn't put a password in there, but you can see now very clearly that it's enabled. If for some reason you have second thoughts, you don't want to make it a Respondus lockdown, you read more about it also, because there are cons and pros. Go ahead and go back into modify settings and get rid of the enabled, and don't make it a lockdown browser. The next item of business that you might be doing, I hope it was clear that when you're creating a test, formerly called an assessment, it doesn't have to be timed. So any kind of test that you have, whether they're the old school in WebCT online assessments, which were always timed, or a regular test, they're all made by just the test function now. So again, in your control panel under course management, you're going to click on tests, surveys, and pools. Now we've gone through tests and we've gone through pools. The last item you have available to you is something that you might want to get to find out more information from the students. Or you can actually let the students, I believe, create their own surveys too if you're doing some kind of project in class. I guess I put this in here. Yeah, in a former class, I had asked them, I had embedded some audio questions. So I wanted to survey the class to see if they could, their sound file would play on their own personal computers. And I was able to get answers. Currently it's not deployed. So just like a test, you have to make sure to deploy it somewhere. So it's already in here. Now if I were, again, you have to build on the page where you want that assessment or pool or survey or whatever to be. So again, I'm in this assignments and due dates, the preferred method I chose to show where each weekly assignments are. And I want to say that I want to put in a survey this time, not a test. So you'll notice since I created one in the past, can you hear the audio messages? And surveys, of course, are just like any surveys. There's so many different things you can ask, whether it's academically related or just gathering information. I can create a new one by clicking on Create and give it a name. Survey on, I don't know, so let's call it a sociology survey. Like usual, you have your description box, you have your instruction box, etc. So however complex or simple you want this to be, you click on Submit, and you'll see now, just like before in a test, now here the difference of course is I'm just conducting a survey, I'm not actually giving a test. So I can create questions. How are you finding this class? Is it easy to navigate? What are you confused about? Etc. I can also find questions, upload questions, the same. Just keep in mind though that if you pull from the same databases, that's for a test. A survey usually has a different reason for being. You want to get information or you want to find out statistics or something. So I can change anything also as edit. But now if I want to put this up, again I have to go to the place where I want to have it, which I think I just did. I'm going to go back there again, and I'm going to click on Survey this time again. And I'm going to click on the, let's say the sociology. Well, I'll click on the audio message one, since that one I already know has something in it. This is different than a test, keep reminding yourself, because it's usually not graded. It's a survey, but it might be. Open the survey in a new window. You might choose yes. Make the link available, make an announcement. You notice the same things as a test. The difference is it's a survey. I can set a timer as well. So I can do just about anything. I can set a password. I can even apparently give it a score. I can give them the status. If you want to show them how many people answered X, Y, or Z on the survey, they can see the statistics as well. And again, just like a test, I can do this as a random question from a pool, etc. And then I click Submit. Okay. A couple little notes on the survey. Questions on surveys cannot be assigned points. So that's your basic difference between a test and a survey. Again, you're gathering information usually in a survey, so there won't be any option to put in points. Surveys cannot include random blocks of questions. So again, since it's not a test, you can't do that change up to prevent cheating because it's not meant to be really a test. Instructors cannot give students feedback because again, you're just gathering information. Surveys cannot be graded. These are not made to be graded. And survey questions cannot be categorized. You can't have them in those enhanced features like categorizing your surveys. To get to the results of your survey, which I can't show you here because I don't have live students taking it, but basically what you would do is you would go back down to your control panel, and you're going to click on evaluation again. Just like the way that you check for grading, etc., you can click on the grade center, and you can click on no, it's not going to be here. I don't really have any answers from the survey, so I can't access it now, but it'll say choose attempts statistics. That's the survey. And when you choose that, a table is displayed for each question showing percentages for each answer. So if you surveyed the class, you'll see 90% said this, 10% said this on any given question or whatever, and that gives you all your data. And again, for deploying a survey, you have to just go to the place where you want it, put it on. To reiterate, for both tests and surveys, you need to make sure that you have it visible, that you have a display starting when, starting whatever, and that you give it or assign it to your students, whether individually or in groups or as in toto as the whole class. And that's pretty much our overview of how to create timed assessments, tests that are not timed, pools of questions, respond as lockdown, and surveys. Have fun with the new software. Enjoy.